Welcome to Discussions with Dianna, brought to you by the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods. I am your host, Dianna Bolin. Today's guest is Nancy Southern, Board Chair of the Publishing Club and co-facilitator of the Sunday Discussion Group. Nancy developed a career in the field of organizational learning and leadership development. She continues to teach nationally and internationally. Her primary focus is on leadership development, organizational transformation, and collaboration. She has over 24 publications. But most importantly, her approach to leadership creates an environment that expands perspectives of people she works with. I am excited to introduce Nancy Southern. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So currently, you are the board chair of the Publishing Club.
Right.
But that's going to change.
Yes, I will be stepping down at the end of this year and passing on leadership to a new board that we'll announce at our holiday party on December 3rd. Mm-hmm. And we have some great people coming in. So we're looking forward to seeing them take the Publishing Club to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and every time there's new leadership, there's new vision.
Right.
And every time there's new vision, there's probably anxiety.
Right.
So as a leader coming in and now going out, how did you deal with that?
Well, for me, I stepped into this role at a time when the Publishing Club was struggling a bit, and we were losing some members. People were just maybe not quite getting what they wanted to get out of the club. And there was no one wanting to step up to leadership. I was a fairly new member. I had been with the club for maybe about 7 months. But was participating on the board just because the previous president, Nancy Brown, saw that I had some leadership qualities, I guess, and asked me to be on the board. But then when she needed to step down, I don't know, everyone just looked to me for to step forward. And while it wasn't a plan I had in mind, I decided to use my leadership skills to do whatever I could to help the club actually, begin to make a transition to wherever its next place was. Peggy Edwards, who's the founder of the club, I think had a very inspirational mission, and she really feels that everyone here in the village has a story to tell. And that the club can be a place that can help people tell that story, and to potentially work it into a publication, even if that publication is just meant for their family, rather than going out to the world. It can be something that they can share and be proud of. And so we serve in the Publishing Club people who are aspiring writers and published authors and everything in between.
Yes.
And so it gets a little challenging at times to make sure we have the types of programs that meet everybody's needs.
Yes, so it sounds like it's quite a diverse group of people in the club.
Yes.
And I can imagine that one leader might think to take the club in one direction and a new leader in another direction, and then there's Peggy Edwards' vision, and then you step in as, and I noticed you're chair, board chair, you're not president.
Right.
What's that?
So for me, I have a belief that leadership is about creating the conditions for people to thrive, and for everyone in an organization to share leadership. And so I would say I lead more from a supportive perspective than a directive perspective. And president in my mind is always kind of, synonymous with the idea of somebody directing and in control. And when I came in, I really wanted to change the nature of how people thought about leadership in the club. And I wanted them to feel as though their leadership was just as important as my leadership. And so I used the term board chair, maybe because I was being in academia for most of my life, I was used to being a chair of something rather than a president of something. So, and I thought it may just change, the language sometimes can just change the way people think about the role itself.
Absolutely. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And I was struck, when I first met you, it was in discussions about this show, and I was so struck by your leadership style, which was very permissive, kind of, are you excited about something? Run with it. Right. I was like, oh, thank you, Lord.
I've always, I've led in many different types of organizations, a lot of people, and I've found that, if you can really tap into what people are excited about, what they would really like to learn and experience, and get them involved in creating that, you can have a very successful organization. And I think that's so important here in the village with all these clubs, because we're all volunteers. Nobody's getting paid for the work they do. They don't have to do it. It's really, and they're only going to contribute if it's something that they really want to do. And they see that there's some benefit in doing it, right? That benefit may be social. It may be just wanting to make a contribution, maybe want to be part of building something. But it's important that we tap into what they're really looking for in terms of their engagement and help them have that experience that they would really like to have.
So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking that even though I'm the type of person that would like to take an idea and run with it, there might be other people seeking direction or approval, and you have to discern what's the best approach for that individual.
Right, exactly. So it's definitely, when necessary, I will give direction, but I try to engage people in a way that get their ideas first, before I make a final decision on what I want to do.
What you want to do? You mean with them?
Well, what we want to do, I should say.
Okay.
But even if it's a decision I have to make, that's more directed in the sense of, yes, I need to make that decision. I still like to get the perspectives of people on how I should make that decision.
So as I was thinking about how we've talked about things, there's a number of, I don't know if I'd call them core skills that you need to have to be a good leader in the style that you're describing, which is being a good listener, fostering conversation, self-control, humility, because it's not my way or the highway. It's let's figure this out together. So is that something that is that a way of being that you pretty much have always been, or you acquired it, or?
Yes, I learned this early on. I was in leadership positions in corporate America back in my mid-20s. And I had the opportunity early on, the first company I worked for, they had a great leadership development program that I was able to attend. And that combined with my psychology undergraduate program that was grounded in a humanistic approach to psychology. And I learned to how to have good conversations, how to pay attention to other people, and get a sense of who they are. And it all kind of came together over time and a lot of experience. And a type of leadership that I would say, as I mentioned earlier, is really supportive. It's really creating the conditions for people to thrive.
Mm-hmm. So what grade would you give yourself for the publishing club this year?
I think I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. And that was to get people more engaged, to really develop some good programs that met the needs of the majority of people in the club, and to really get the club on what I think is a path that's stable enough to really build from. So when the next board comes in for next year, I hope that they have the foundation, that I've set the foundation, and they can then build on that to create some new things
That
for
sounds,
the club.
that sounds pretty solid.
Right.
I mean, to create that foundation, and part of that foundation, I'm assuming, is the ability to communicate with one another without kind of polarizing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's probably a big challenge for clubs today, I would think, just because of the polarizing political environment that we're living in at this point in time. It can create problems in any organization, right? And I'm sure within our clubs it does. And so developing the ability to, one, try to listen to and honor different perspectives, and appreciate people who hold those different perspectives.
Yes.
Is an important piece. And I'm working on that a lot with my work with the discussion club here, a Sunday discussion group. And it's, we have people who are conservative and people who are liberal, and we talk about politics, and we're really, learning how to listen carefully, respond respectfully, agree to disagree when needed, but continue to respect the people in the group, regardless of what their perspective is.
Yes.
And it's a way to, I think when we experience that in the discussion club, people have a sense of joy. It's really, not to say that we don't have any rough patches. Every once in a while we'll run into one where someone gets a little upset or a lot upset, and we're challenged by that on occasion. But for the most part, if you walk into the discussion group, you'll see before people get there early, they like to talk to one another. They're not just engaging in their groups of, the conservatives together and the liberal people together. They're really talking across to one another, and they respect one another. So I love seeing that that type of environment really flourish.
Yes, yes. Now that club has been going on for how long?
Oh my goodness, I think it's maybe, I know it's over 20 years. I'm not quite sure how long, but I know it's been a long time.
And the original founder is still pretty much leading.
Yes, Mary, and I can't remember Mary's last name.
That's all right.
But
Mary worked.
But Mary has been with the club for a long time, and she's has been in charge of it for quite a while. She's a great facilitator, and I was fortunate that she invited me to be a part of that facilitation mode. So she and I trade off different ways. Some weeks I do it, some weeks she does it, and it's been a great experience for me.
So twice now you've been identified as a leader.
I guess so, yes.
Yes. So there's something that you're projecting that gets you invited to these roles.
Yes, I think it's the way I speak out, what I have to say, how I analyze situations, provide, ideas for how to, move within any particular situation. And, I generally don't hold back, but I also always try to provide my perspective and recommendations in a way that is not saying that it's better or best or should be, or
the finger doesn't come out.
Or places blame or makes people feel bad about what's happening, but just that, consider this as a possibility.
Yes.
And I ask a lot of questions also.
Yes, and that is so important. And what you're talking about, I mean, when we were in the green room talking, it's how to help systems work the best.
Right.
And then I was saying, well, there's all kinds, we're embedded in systems. And that includes a relationship with a partner. And not, to say it in the positive, wanting to understand your partner's position as opposed to beating them over the head with how you're right and they're wrong.
Right. Exactly. And I would say that's true in every relationship.
Yes.
And it's, one of the things that, as you bring up, relationships are so important. So within,
yes.
We as people are in many different types of organizations, and as you said, all those organizations are systems. We're connected in many different ways, right? And when I, think of a system and how I've studied organizational systems over my career, the relationship aspect is probably the most important. How we, foster the types of relationships where we can speak freely to one another, respect always being, a critical aspect, ask good questions, and have fun together.
Yes, yes. And that, this thought just came to me. It almost has to happen in person. I'm thinking of social media and how whatever the social media platform is, and how, I'm not saying that people can't have connections in that milieu, but more that those meaningful connections frequently, and tell me if I'm wrong here, will happen when there's two people looking at each other and experiencing in the moment, as opposed to some barrier, that's the way I think of it.
Right.
It's like on the telephone, you can't, or texting, you can't quite get the full context.
Right. Yeah. Certainly a person's the best, but I've been teaching online for a long time, and many, many years before online learning actually became popular. And I had to shift my thinking to realize that I can create relationships just as powerfully, even at a distance. So it's about, how you, for me, it's about how I hold people. And I use a term often, I hold people in care. And so it's like, whether I'm talking to, my students over the phone or on Zoom, and I've had students who are in Africa and China and all parts of the world while I've been here in California, and I've been able to create what I feel is the same closeness of relationship as I could if I am in person with them.
Yes.
So while I'll definitely agree that it's easiest generally in person, part of that idea that we can't do it at a distance, I think, is just a mindset.
Yeah, and I think that's inspiring, because actually, as I think about it, I do therapy and I'm effective on Zoom. Exactly. So why couldn't I solve differences of opinion? Right. Where the power is, where I'm not the person in power. Right. Yes.
Right. So it's, I think in these days we have to pay more attention to who we are, whether we're on, a video platform, whether we're on a social media platform, just on the computer. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't think carefully about how do I want to present myself particularly in those contexts where you're just writing something on the computer, on a social media platform.
Yes.
People are more free to just, sort of say whatever they want to say and not be as considerate as they would be if they were in person. And that becomes a problem.
Well, and it goes back to the importance of communicating with the other person's perspective in mind.
Right, right.
Because so often I've heard people say, no, I sent that text and then I read it and I was horrified that's how it was read or interpreted.
Exactly, right.
And so there does tend to require a little bit more awareness of that fact, and yet that can be difficult to do when you're agitated.
Right.
Feel strongly about something.
Right. So a good thing to do that I do when I'm agitated is I try to back off, right? and give myself some reflection time and say, okay, what's really important here?
Yes.
Am I, really hearing and listening to the needs of the other person? Am I, too attached to whatever my needs are or the way I think something should be done, and just reconsider it, and then think about is there a middle ground, or do I just let it go and and realize that the other person, they've got a good idea, and let them run with it. I don't have to be in charge, right? Yes.
And that wisdom, I mean, that was another word that came to my mind, is wisdom to know that you cannot know all the right answers.
Right.
You may have a right answer, but not the right answer.
Correct. Right.
And then in the other person's context, it might not be the right answer at all.
Yes.
Yeah. And additionally, you can't control everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a tough one too. Yeah. So circling back to clubs here in the woods, first of all, before I move on, I want to highlight, I think that this Sunday discussion group is phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to going myself and experiencing it firsthand.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yes, I will. But getting back to clubs in general, so some clubs come, some clubs go, some clubs are here for a long time, but in every instance, there's transitions. Clubs change.
Right.
Besides changing leadership, as you said, they change focus or build. So what are the how do you help people navigate those transitions?
Well, I think it's important that whatever situation we're in, a leader's responsibility to a great extent is to help people see the bigger picture. What's happening? Why is there a need for transition? And to giving people a sense of that bigger picture and the whys of why are we here? Where might we be going? Trying to give them enough information so it alleviates some of that anxiety that they have, and giving them opportunities to really talk about it, to question, to say, the what ifs, what if we do this, what is it going to mean to me, so that they have that some way to really process the change, because every change in reality is there's a loss associated with it. So even if it's change that we desire and move to, so you might say, when you got married, you wanted to get married, all of us who've been married, we wanted to get married, but then, after we get through that process, we always realize, well, I lost maybe a little independence, or I'm not able to do all the things that I used to do.
Can't use the
same
shower when
way,
I want to.
Right. Whatever that loss is, right? There's always some kind of a loss. Say maybe if we have a child, you have all this wonderful things happening, but there's a loss associated with it. So anytime that there is a major transition, we have to recognize that there are losses. People are feeling losses in some way, and each of us may feel a different sense of loss.
Yes.
So how does a leader tap into that? And it's through asking questions and giving people a chance to talk about it.
Yes.
And then to, again, help them envision the future so that they can get a sense of how their role may change, what the possibilities are for them, and help them really step into that space of opportunity and possibility.
Yes, yes, which is a very optimistic, definitely possible, but
Right.
my mind goes to the person that goes through the stages of loss and gets stuck in anger.
Right.
And how do you move them out of that? And it's got to be a kind of a touch and go situation, because you have to appreciate the anger for where the person's at.
Right. Right, so I think, in my case as a leader, I'm not a therapist like you are, but so I don't go too far down that road, but I find that listening to that anger and then helping maybe that person decide, is this the right place for you? Or do you need to move on?
Yes.
Years ago, I used to lead an organization where we had quite a number of people that were kind of in their first real job. And some of them it fit really well, and others it didn't. And so we had quite a bit of turnover. Luckily, I had a good HR manager who was great at firing people, which sounds pretty strange, but she did it with care. And she would help. By the time they left the organization, they would be able to see possibilities for themselves somewhere else.
Wow, excellent.
And so the anger dissipated, and they were hopeful about their future. But that was only after realizing that it just wasn't a good fit.
Yes. Yes.
For them, and there was no way they were going to be happy or successful. And so, as any leader, I think sometimes we get in those situations where we have to help people move on.
Yes, which would then be a more of a guiding hand,
Right.
but still with a finger on the pulse of the person you're guiding.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had hours to talk. This has been phenomenal. You bring such a wealth of information and gentleness as well, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I just want to give one more plug to the Publishing Club. And
Please.
invite anyone who is interested to please check us out.
Absolutely.
And there'll be a lot of new opportunities and to learn there in the coming year.
Yes, it's a great club, and I support everybody that volunteers there and all the members.
Right, thank you.
So this concludes another episode of Discussions with Dianna, brought to you by the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods. The new episodes have a broader focus with diverse range of guests and topics, usually people making a significant contribution to Laguna Woods. The broadcast times remain the same, right here on TV6, Mondays at 10:30 a.m. and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Thanks to our guest, Nancy Southern, and to the staff here at TV6. May you follow your dreams with passion, persistence, and faith. See you again soon.